We welcome you to week 4 of IHSA football, and tonight it brings us to Conant High School, the home of the Cougars. Alongside John Anderson, I'm Ryan Fay with you for our HETV Game of the Week. As John, these Conant Cougars welcome in a perennial powerhouse. They are like that every year in the Maine South Hawks.
Well, Maine South is coached by Dave Insira. He's won 4 state titles. Most recently in 2016, they beat Loyola Academy in the final. They won 3 in a row back in 08, 09, and 2010. So he's got a tremendous program there. They're certainly very good this year, and they played arguably the toughest schedule in the state. They opened with Glenbard West, and they beat them big, 35-14. Then they went down and they played Mount Carmel, and they knocked them off. The next week, Mount Carmel upset Loyola. And last week, I saw the game. Barrington was on the road from our conference, the Mid-Suburban West, and Barrington was able to eke out an upset victory, a 26-23, but Barrington had some real big plays that helped them do it. They had a kickoff return. They had the recovery of a bad snap in the end zone, so there were 2 special team plays there that loomed really large in that game. And I'm sure that the special teams people were working very hard this past week in Park Ridge. And then the last touchdown for Barrington was sort of a trick play. It was a screen pass. It was a lateral that looked like a screen pass, and the halfback threw a 54-yarder to win the game, basically.
And on the side for the Conant Cougars, they've had some very good, efficient football early on here in the season, but that kind of came to a little bit of a halt, though, in that 20-7 loss against Evanston.
Well, they only had 1 turnover per game in their first 2 games. Last week they had 3 turnovers, and that really made a difference. They were up against a pretty good Evanston team, and they wound up losing 20-7. The game was 14-7 midway in the 4th quarter or so they were hanging in there all the way, but the turnovers made the difference there. So I'm sure that Conant has worked just as hard to avoid turnovers as Maine South has been working on their special teams.
And one of the things we've noticed from this Conant Cougar squad, this isn't a passing team. They are very, very perennial on running the football.
Well, this is Brian Stortz. He's a conservative coach. He emphasizes defense and running. And by emphasis, I really mean emphasis. They've only completed 3 passes so far this season. In 3 games, according to my higher math, that's 1 pass per game complete. And they've only thrown 8 passes in 3 games. So not even 3 passes a game. And so it's running. They do have a whole group of running backs that all have had somewhere between 74, and the leading rusher is Malik Frederick. He's got 194 yards, but they go all the way down 5 rushers. The least of the 5 has gained 74 yards, so they've got running backs like Anthony Wacho with 138, and so they have a whole fleet of running backs, and they're piling up running yardage. In the Elk Grove game, they ran for 428 yards in that game. They only threw 2 passes and completed 1.
Quite the running game that we were probably going to see out of the Cougars here tonight against this Maine South Hawks team, with both of these teams coming in at 2-1 as we head into week 4 action, and we wrap up the non-conference portion of a lot of Chicagoland area's team schedule before the heart of the conference season begins for everybody all around the area. We've got kickoff coming up for you next between the Hawks and the Cougars on our HETV Game of the Week. Carolyn's starting kick. I think Sizer's John Sizer. Oh, they're actually kicking off a couple minutes ago. As the bands come off the field, we had a lovely rendition from the national anthem courtesy of the Cougars marching band. Teams now take the field. It'll be the Cougars getting the first half kickoff. Maine South won the toss. They defer. They'll get the ball in the second half. Kicking this one away will be Aiden Carolyn, number 30. Hawks are in their road white uniforms with the black trim, red helmets, and the black numbers, while the Conant Cougars are in their home navy blue uniforms, the white pants, and the white numbers. Both teams 2-1. Who's going to get that third win before conference play begins?
And Maine South will be very careful on this return. They've had 2 touchdowns against them. One in the game with Barrington last week and then Mount Carmel the week before. They've had 2 run backs on kickoffs, so I'm sure that they've worked hard to prevent that.
And here comes the kickoff. Is this one going to be returned by Anthony Watchell, number 27. Got that one from about his own 10-yard line and gets past the 20. And that is where this running offense of the Conant Cougars will take their opening drive at. And John, you mentioned this in our pregame segment. Through 3 games, only 8 attempted passes, 3 of them only completed.
So yeah, at the rate of 1 pass completion a game, this is certainly one of the most run-oriented teams in the state of Illinois. And it is quite a departure from what we usually see in these games.
Under center and getting the handoff there, kind of in that weird running formation, was number 9, Joseph Perez, the senior running back. Got a gain of a few there, and it makes it second down for Cougars, and right on cue, they go with a run on first down.
Brian Stortz.
Gain of 5, second and 5 for the Cougars.
We talked about Dave Vincera. He's won 4 state titles, but Brian Stortz has won 1. He was at Lake Zurich, he won 1, and he finished second twice.
Under center, Kevin Pulaski, the starting quarterback. The 5'11 senior with one out to the near right. And he fakes the handoff. He's going to roll to his right. And here's a pass, but it falls incomplete to the right side. He was looking for Anthony Watchell, number 27, and it'll bring up third down for the Cougars.
The game is young, and they've almost exhausted their passing quota for the whole game. Bit of a surprise that early.
That's the 9th attempted pass this season in 3 games, and now some change as we've gotten this one underway. It's third down and 4. Ball's at the 30-yard line. Need to get to the 34 to convert.
This would be a passing situation for most teams, but perhaps not for the Cougars.
Pulaski under center, the man in motion, and that man in motion is going to get it, but he's going to be immediately met by the Hawks. D-line ball comes out, and it looks like the Hawks fell on top of it. We'll see who the officials give the possession to. And the whistle, and it's going to be Hawks ball.
First big break here going the way of the Hawks, and exactly what the Cougars didn't want last week. They played well against Evanston, except for 3 turnovers that were instrumental in having the Cougars go down to defeat 20-7 in that ball game.
The safety Ryan Kilberg, the junior, got the fumble recovery, and that's where this Hawks offense now will start in great field position in Conant territory at the 35. And here comes Cole Dow, the junior quarterback, who in place of Bobby and Sarah, who's still out with the leg injury he suffered back in that game against Mount Carmel. 3 out to the right, 2 to the near left. Nobody in the backfield with Cole Dow. Has a man come in motion from the far side in. And he's going to keep it himself, look for some blockers ahead, and he falls to the 30-yard line, and it'll be second down.
Run down by Anthony Watchell. Gain of 5 brings up second and 5 for the Hawks.
So a gain of 5 there on that QB keep from Cole Dow.
Cole Dow had a very good night passing against Barrington last week. I was at that ball game, and he completed 74% of his passes.
2 out to the right, 1 to the near left with the ball on the left hash. 2 in the backfield as getting the handoff and spinning his way forward close to a first down was number 5, Jimmy Bartell. Bartell, the 6'2", 205-pound junior, brings up third and short for Maine South.
3 brings up third and 2 for the Hawks.
Bartell with a gain there of about 3 on that run.
Maine South does pass a lot, but they, especially in the last 7 or 8 years, they've had quite a running game to go with it.
2 out to the right, 1 to the left. And Bartell's going to keep it on this third down, and he's going to lower the helmet and plunge his way forward before he hawks first down. Still no score. Glad you could join us for our HETV Game of the Week here in Week 4 action at Conant High School. Alongside John Anderson, Ryan Fahey with you here on the call. And always the great camera work and producing behind the scenes from Bruce Anderson with us up top here in the bleachers. First down and 10, 9:45 and counting to play in this first quarter. 3 out to the right, 2 to the left. As Dow is going to quickly throw to his left. as the pass is caught. Daniel Wolf, number 21, makes the catch. A short gain there after the catch brings up second down for the Hawks.
Maine South playing out of a spread formation, very similar to the heavy majority of teams today using the spread formation, such as we see right there with 3 receivers wide right and 1 to the left, 1 running back, with the quarterback about 7 yards behind it.
And Dow's going to keep it again on the option, and he gets past the first wave, and he gets a gain of about 4. And it'll be third down and short coming up now for Maine South.
3rd and 3 for the Hawks.
As they get into red zone territory now. And the fumble recovery from Ryan Kilberg is what gave the Hawks their opening drive to start in Conant territory. 3rd down and 3 on the 16-yard line. 2 out to each side, 1 man in the backfield. Dow rolls to his left, and the throw is a low one, but it is still going to be caught right outside the 10-yard line. Making the catch there was Daniel Lasik, number 23. And that is enough for another Hawks first down, and it's 1st and goal for Maine South.
Good enough for a Hawk first down.
Maine South runs the spread, but they run it better than most teams by quite a wide margin. Their execution is
1st and goal, Maine South.
in a typical year is superb.
1st and goal, they had the ball spotted at the 9, 8:15 and counting after they set the chain. 2 out to the right, 1 to the left. As Dow on the option, he's going to give that one off to Bartell again. And he gets minimal gain. And I think Forward Progress gave him maybe a couple of yards on that one. It'll be second down.
The carry taken down by Anthony Wackel.
So 2nd and goal, they spot the ball at the 7-yard line, it looks like. Beautiful night for football here at Conant High School. Not a cloud in the sky to report. Remember our last football coverage, we had that weather all around the area that did not affect our game at Hoffman Estates. Not too far from here. Same spread formation out again. 3 to the right, 2 to the left. Play clock was down to 10. And the toss to the right end being upended there was Daniel Lasik, his 2nd catch of the day. And leading the way was Joseph Carroll on the stop there for the Cougars. And it brings up 3rd down back to the original line of scrimmage.
Mason Reiger first on the scene. 3rd and goal for Maine South.
We'll give officially credit to Mason Reiger on that tackle and stop. Under 7 minutes now to go, still no score here in quarter number 1. 3 left, 2 to the right. Dow all alone in the backfield in shotgun formation. Dow with the snap. He's got time, he rolls to his right, and he fires, and it is caught. And it's a Maine South touchdown, Jimmy Bartell.
Touchdown, Maine South.
So Bartell, who was outspread to the left, found his way to the right side, and Dow found him in the back of the end zone for the Hawks touchdown with the extra point coming up.
Real good velocity on that pass. Throwing hard right at him, and there wasn't much opportunity to intercept that one. It had the speed to get there very quickly.
Aiden Carolyn now for the point after attempt. Here comes the snap, the hold, and the kick. It is a low one, but nevertheless, it is good. And the Hawks strike first on their opening drive, taking advantage of that fumble that the defense had created in their first time out there, as they lead 7-0 with 6:40 to play here in the first quarter of action. And John, it really wasn't a lot of dazzling plays that the Hawks made there, but it was efficient and it was disciplined.
Yeah, it's ball control with the pass to some extent, and they complemented with some power running, and they moved right along and got their first downs and got into the end zone.
And we talked about this in our pregame segment about how Conant, going into that game last week against Evanston, very good at kind of playing clean football, not turning it over, and they have that fumble on that opening drive, and that's what cost them and puts them down 7 here early on.
Yeah, they had three turnovers last week. That was a problem last week, and it's a big problem in the early going here. Setting up Maine South for that drive, and they have the early lead here. We're at 6:40, and they lead. Maine South leads 7-0.
Carolina kick this one away. Joseph Carroll and Anthony Wacho back deep for the Cougars. They stand right inside their own 5-yard line. Carolyn will take this now from his own 40. This one picked up by, that's actually going to be picked up by number 8, Jesse Maverick.
Jesse Mayrick on the return.
So Mayrick gets the return. A gain of a few, not much, as he picked that one up from his own 8. And here comes the Conant Cougars offense once again. As we mentioned, they came out with that opening drive, and it led to a fumble that was recovered by Ryan Kilberg, the safety for the Hawks. The quarterback and Kevin Pulaski will bring his squad back on out there as they'll start this drive from their own 13-yard line. Three backs in the backfield as this one run to the right side.
Only one wide receiver that time. One receiver was wide left. So they've got
Malik Frederick with the carry.
3 backs.
Short gain.
Malik Frederick got the
7-man line.
And Malik Frederick there got the carry. Gain of only a couple. It's 2nd down and 8. Ball at the 15 as we approach 6 minutes to play here in quarter number 1. Bunch of bodies along that offensive line with this running format that the Cougars have ran all year. Toss to the left side goes for Frederick again. And he got a gain of a few more, and that'll bring up 3rd and manageable.
He's been their leading rusher. He's averaging 8.1 per carry on the season.
That was a gain of about 5, so it'll be 3rd down and 3. Ball's at the 20.
He's their leader, but they've got a number of other backs that have done quite well this year, and that's indicative of good offensive line play.
And as you mentioned, that Devon Holmes, number 29, now checks into the game and is in the backfield for the Cougars. One out to the right by the right hash. Man in motion, and Frederick's going to get the toss again, and this time to the right. He gets through the second wave, makes another move, and there he goes. He's got one man to beat down to the 30, inside to the 20, and a big run there. First and goal, Cougars. 75 yards, first and goal, Conant.
Inside the 10.
This is the kind of power running where you pound away, and finally there's that opening, and these backs can make the best of it, as Frederick did right there. He almost made a touchdown.
That was a gain of 72 yards on that run by Malik Frederick.
That puts them in business at, they're all the way down at
spot him at the
8-yard line.
4:55 to play. Watcher will get the carry, and he's going to be immediately met by the D-line of the Hawks, and that'll bring up 2nd and goal.
Anthony Wackel on the carry, stopped by Ethan Leach.
A nice play there to get the crowd back in it for Conant.
For the Cougars.
A 72-yard run from the sophomore, Malik Frederick. They didn't officially made no gain on that 1st down run attempt.
Well, Conant has just about as much rushing yardage so far tonight as Barrington did in the entire game last Friday. Of course, Barrington scored in a variety of ways in that game and managed to win it.
Kevin Pulaski, the quarterback, with 2 backs in the backfield behind him. And the toss is going to go to Watchell, and reading that one like a book, Daniel Wolf jumped the gun. He knew where it was going. And a loss of about 4 on that one, maybe more. And it brings up 3rd down and goal still.
Great anticipation there.
3rd and goal for the Cougars.
Give it a loss of 2 yards. Still makes it 3rd down.
With
3:50 to play in this quarter.
3rd and goal from the 10.
One receiver out to the right. 2 backs in the backfield. Couple of eligible receivers on the right end of the offensive line as Pulaski gets away from one defender. Throw to the end zone. What a thread the needle pass. It's Anthony Watchell. He got the foot in, and the Cougars get the response they want. And the point after coming, they can tie it at 7 with 3:27 to play here in quarter number 1. But what a throw and what a catch.
That may be the first. I think that's their first touchdown pass of the season, and
Jessica
it came at a very
Smeltzer
important time in this game to tie it up here in the early going.
So Pulaski to Watchell makes it 7-6, and the extra point now makes it a 7-7 tie. But a great response from the Cougars to come on out, but it was more led by that sophomore and Malik Frederick on that 72-yard run that put him in this territory, John, and they were able to pay dividends off of that sophomore's big run.
Yeah, that's the big run, and when you pound away, Storch likes to teach patience in the running game, where you pound away, and finally somebody misses a tackle or one of your running backs breaks a tackle, and you get that kind of a run that sets you up for a touchdown.
3:27 to play on the clock here in this first quarter of action. I'll let you could join us for our HGTV Game of the Week as we're here at Conant High School, the home of the Cougars. Alongside John Anderson, Ryan Fay with you here on the call.
Michaela Nelson, please report to Cal's Angels booth, please.
So the Hawks will be the ones to receive the kickoff now. And back deep for Maine South will be Daniel Lasik, number 23, along with Nathan Smith, number 22. And ready to kick this one away is going to be the sophomore Malik Frederick, who had that 72-yard run on that last drive for the Cougars. Needless to say, a very versatile sophomore.
Quite an active fellow here. Yeah.
There's quite a bit of Cougars that play both sides of the ball. Anthony Waschel, not only just a running back, also is a linebacker too. So Frederick to boot this from his own 40 as we're tied at 7 with 3:27 to go here in this first quarter of action. Here comes the kick from Frederick, and this one will be Daniel Lasik to get it from about his own 12-yard line. He's going to run to the right side looking for the edge. He didn't stay down initially, then eventually gets wrapped up. He ran a lot of east to west, not north to south. As here comes the Hawks offense once again. There's a gain of maybe 6 yards total on that return attempt. As they spot the ball officially at the 18-yard line. So here comes the Maine South offense. And we mentioned Cole Dow, the starter, in place of the injured Bobby and Sarah, who's dealing with a leg injury suffered back in week 2 against Mount Carmel. Spread out once again. 2 to the left, 1 to the right. And running this one and taking that one for a nice gain is Daniel Wolf. And it brings up second down and about 4 to go.
Danny Wolf with the carry, brought down by Devin Holmes.
Devin Holmes makes the tackle for the Cougars as we now have under 3 minutes to play here in this first quarter of action.
As I said, Cole Dahl was impressive last week with his passing, and we can expect quite a bit of passing here tonight out of Maine South, I suspect, to move this football, try to put points on the board.
Dow rolls to his right as there were 2 out to each side. He's looking to throw it downfield. John, right on cue. As you mentioned it, pass falls incomplete, no flags. And it's going to be third down as he was looking downfield for Michael Velasquez, as it'll bring up 3rd and 4.
Ronald Williams on the coverage. 3rd and 4 for the Hawks.
So the clock stops at 2:33. 3rd down and 4 as the Hawks were looking for their first deep ball of the evening. The 3 will be lined up to the left side, 1 out to the right, 1 man in the backfield. That being Daniel Lasik. Dow is going to actually, on the draw, hand it to Lasik, who goes to the left side, spins around 1 tackler, gets the first down and a little more as he gets taken down at the 35-yard line. And it's a first down for Maine South.
Move the chains, first down, Maine South.
Nice. Their leading rusher this year, and they picked up a nice gain there.
So first down and 10 for Maine South at their own 35. 3 out to the right, 1 to the near left, 1 man in the backfield. Down the shotgun, he's gonna hold on the ball and keep it on the option, and Dow gets to a nice hole and gets a gain of about 6 yards on the play. It'll be 2nd and 4.
Dow with the keeper, brought down by Joseph Carroll.
We now approach
Jeremy
2 minutes to
Benford.
play here in this first quarter of action. Tied at 7.
For the Hawks.
There's a 5-yard touchdown pass from Cole Dow to Jimmy Bartell. Spread out, 3 to the right, 2 to the left on this 2nd and 4. Quick throw to the right side, and kind of inadvertently colliding with one of his own guys there after making the catch there was Nathan Smith. As he looked like he had an opening in front of him, John, just kind of ran into his own guy, and no gain there on that catch. It still brings up 3rd and 4.
These Storts teams, they like to play a 3-5-3, I believe. So you have 8 guys back on pass defense and 5 linebackers. That short pass zone is very crowded with 5 linebackers, and it's if they don't knock the pass down, they tackle the receiver right away.
And Dow is going to toss it to the right on the option play, and that one is going to be close to a 1st down, and looks like he's going to be just short as Bartell got it off the pitch, and they are going to move the chains. 1st down. So he must have got just enough on that extra push at the end. So the Hawks will have the 1st down now at their own 46 with 55 seconds. And once the chains are set, the clock will now run. But a fast first quarter here of play between the Cougars and the Hawks. 3 to the left, 2 to the right, now 1 in motion from the right side. And that 1 in motion is Daniel Lasik as he gets tripped up going east to west, trying to get to that next level on the left side. Gets a gain of a couple, maybe just 1. It looks like they're going to rule it. Under 30 seconds to go. Makes it 2nd and 9.
Will almost certainly be the last play of the first quarter.
And they didn't reset the game, the play clock rather, so we'll see how Maine South does get 1 more play off. They could let the clock go if they do so choose. Maybe they try a hard count here to see if they can get Conant to maybe jump, as there's only 5 seconds left, and they do take a snap. This will be the last play of the quarter, and trying to do it with an exclamation point on the Hawks, and getting tripped up as the intended receiver, Ryan Kilberg, had a finger on it, but then he got tripped up by one of the guys in the secondary from the Cougars, as that was Joseph Carroll in coverage, as that's how the first quarter comes to an end. It'll be 3rd down and 9 for the Hawks as we start the 2nd quarter of play. We're tied at 7 as we start the 2nd quarter. And John, your first impressions from that first quarter from both sides?
Well, I think it's going somewhat true to form. The running game of Conant set up their touchdown. Conant did complete a pass to consummate a touchdown, but they stuck with their running game. It paid dividends, and a big 72-yard run there by Frederick that set up their touchdown. And Maine South has mixed up the pass and run nicely, and they capitalized on that good field position to have a very efficient drive for their touchdown. So far, going along true to form, the balanced offense of Maine South against the power running of Conant.
So they will switch sides of the field. It'll be Maine South going left to right, and Conant offensively will be going right to left here for this 2nd quarter of play.
And with the switch, I should comment that not a lot of difference out here tonight. There's hardly any wind. It looks like about a 3-mile-an-hour wind here, so maybe a 2-mile-an-hour wind. The flags are hanging rather limply, and so not too much difference which way you're going here tonight.
3rd down and 9 as the 2nd quarter is about to begin. 3 to the right, 1 to the left. Dow steps up in the pocket, throws to his left, pass is caught, and we'll see if they give the forward momentum as Kilberg made the catch, but he had to kind of take a couple steps back to make the catch, and they're going to rule him just short on this 4th down. It'll be 4th and maybe less than a yard, and it looks like the offense is stay out there and go for it. As they go no huddle here with 3 to the right and 1 to the left. Fourth down and
give
one.
it to Lasik. There it is.
And
he's got it.
that one, they gave the handoff there.
Close, but he's got it. It looks like it.
That was Danny Wolf on the carry. Got a gain of about 2 yards, and that is enough on that fourth down to get a first down for Maine South. They got the ball at the Conant 43-yard line. First down and 10 for the Hawks after getting that fourth down conversion. Same formation once again. Daniel Lasik now in the backfield to the right hip of Cole Dow. And Lasik's going to get the carry, goes to his left with it. Tries to stutter around one defender and can't. But he lunges forward for a few extra yards as it'll bring up second down. Devon Holmes made the tackle there for Conant.
Second and 7 for the Hawks.
As they give him an official gain of 3 yards to make it 2nd and 7. So just got the second quarter underway. Once again, 3 to the right, 1 to the left. And this time it's Danny Wolf in the backfield to the left hip of Dow. Dow drops back, pressure's coming. Heaves it over the middle. Lasik, oh, he almost had the one-handed catch, but it hit off of his helmet. And it's dropped. Pass is incomplete, and it's 3rd and 7 now for Maine South.
It was almost caught. It was almost a sack. That was one of those almost plays. Matter of a split second on both ends of that play. And split second and a couple of inches maybe. So, but Maine South, as proficient as they are at passing, they've had some great running teams. That 09 team that won a state title with Matt Perez, I think they piled up about 400 yards rushing in the title game against Marist and scored 41 points.
Man switches into the backfield as the pressure comes. Dow steps up and runs instead, and he's got a first down. Good awareness from the junior, and he gives the Hawks another first down.
There goes some running there, and we've seen running out of the halfback, so they complemented it. It is, at the end, Maine South is just an offensive powerhouse, and they've played better defense from about 06, 07 on or so, and then they went to that state championship run and everything. In the early O's, they weren't quite as tough on defense, but they've been tough on defense as well for a number of years now.
That's what head coach David Sarah prides his team on. 3 to the right as getting the carry is Bartel, and he's spun down at the 30, lost a yard on the play, brings up 2nd and long as we have 10 minutes now to play in this first half of action.
Carry, taken down by Anthony Wuckel. Loss of 2 on the play, 2nd and 12 for the Hawks.
So his official loss of 2 yards on the run, and we get whistles blown everywhere, and a timeout has been called. Clock stops at 9:50. And no signal of why the whistle blew. An official's timeout, I guess. Now they'll wind the clock, and now they get everything all set. 3 out to the left, 2 to the right. 5 receivers out there right now as Dow will face 4 that rushes against them. Pass to the right side is caught by Bartel, and he makes a swing move, and he gets the first down and a couple extra as the Hawks continue to move the chains deeper into Cougars territory.
Jimmy Bartel, a receiver with some size, 6'2", 205 pounds.
9:27 on the clock. It'll wind once they get the chain set. Still tied at 7. And the same formation once again. Now the man in motion, and keeping it himself is Cole Dow. Spins back up the middle instead, and Cole Dow is going to be just short of a touchdown. He's down at the 1, and it's 1st and goal, Maine South.
There can be a little more room against that 3-man defensive line like that. You got them outnumbered, and it can open up things for the quarterback as it did right there.
1st and goal on the 1. 2 backs in the backfield here for the Hawks as Dow is going to give the handoff to Wolf, and he walks it on in for a Maine South touchdown. 13-7 Hawks.
Touchdown Hawks.
So Danny Wolf with his first touchdown of the evening. And the extra point coming to try to make it a 14-7 score. As Allen there once that pass there from Bartel to get that original first down before the Dow run. Just easy peasy on offense, John, for this Hawks offense against Conant.
Classic mixing up the plays and executing well, passing and running. Everybody likes to say, well, mix up the plays and do it well, but it still gets down to execution. And these Maine South teams have had the unusually good execution of their offense over the years. It's testimony to the coaching staff that they have. Bliss is an assistant there that's had quite a good run, and then Insura as the head coach has won 4 state championships. It's quite an operation, but the Conant Cougars are very much in the game here, down 14-7.
So the Carolyn extra point was good. Makes it a 14-7 score in favor of the visiting Maine South Hawks with 9:03 to play here in first half action. Thanks for joining us on our HETV Game of the Week. Week 4 action in IHSA football. Alongside John Anderson, Ryan Fay with me here on the call. As again, once we get to weeks 5 through 9, that's when we get to the heart of the conference portion of the season for every team in the Chicagoland area. Some teams have started conference play already this week. But everybody will get into the thick of that come next week. Carolyn to kick this one deep for the Hawks left to right. Anthony Watchell back deep along with number 8 and Jesse Mayrick. Kick to the right side, but we get whistles before the attempt, and I think we're going to redo the kick. No flags on the field.
Kick came down well.
And now we get a flag, actually.
Flag on the play.
As we'll get the call here in a moment. Unless somebody on the Hawks side jumped ahead before the kick had occurred. So they called a delay of game, actually, on the kickoff there from Carolyn and the Hawks. So that backs them up 5 yards. So the kickoff will now come from the 35. Well, it was a late flag that was thrown for it.
Most certainly was late. The players were way downfield by the time they played.
Yeah, because the officials had blown the whistle, then the flag had to come out. Usually it's you blow the whistle and immediately the flag comes out, but wasn't the case there. Either way, the Carolyn kick now from the 35. As this one on the line drive is going to be caught there by number 3 and Kyle Prodzinski as he gets past the 40. So decent field position here to start this drive for the Cougars.
So low line drive kick and returned very straight away. Sometimes you see the runner go sideways, but he took the ball and just ran straight ahead and got all the way up to the 42.
Spot the ball officially at the 41. Ball in the near left hash for Conant. One receiver out to the left, everybody bunched up at the line. Lasky under center. He comes out and he's going to get a different play call from head coach Brian Stortz. One man in motion as that's Frederick as the carry up the middle past the 45, and getting taken down there was number 34 is Bradley Spates, the junior running back.
Taken down by Liam Berry.
There was Stortz with the running formation there with one running back behind the quarterback and a couple of wing backs spread out wide, and he likes to run wide out of this with one of the wing backs taking the ball and going either right or left.
Same formation once again. 8:24 now to play in this first half and counting.
Two wing backs, they're way out wide. Here comes one across. 12 gets it.
That's Frederick, the sophomore who got a 72-yard run earlier back in the first quarter. Lost a few on that one as he had no running routes in front of him. As that'll bring up third down for the Cougars. The loss of a couple there puts them back now to their own 46.
Maine South keyed on the wing back that time instead of going for the up back. They were able to stop that play for a loss.
7:45 to play. Two backs in the backfield now. As this one on the toss is going to go to the left side as it finds Mayrick, and he takes a big pop to the line of scrimmage, and it brings up 4th down for the Cougars. And
4th down for the Cougars.
Looks like the offense is going to stay out there on this 4th and 5. One receiver out to the right, one to the left. One man in the backfield. 17 seconds on the play clock. As an audible's call, Pulaski going to go into the backfield now and not be under center. And he actually
he's probably going to.
I think he's going to try to punt it. Yep, and that's what they do.
And he gets it off. It's over the receiver's
And it
head.
takes a nice
It
bounce for the
bounces,
Cougars.
It's rolling.
It curves to the, it just goes into the back of the end zone for the touchback, just past the goal
barely
line.
over the goal line there.
That was a good kick there from the quarterback in Kevin Pulaski.
One of those plays that had the Conant coverage man been there just a split second earlier, they would have pinned him down on about the half-yard line.
So the ball now goes to the 20. Even that on the punt there, you saw the ball kind of make a curve where it was perhaps going to stop taking momentum to the goal line, but as you mentioned, the coverage there from Conant, they were trying to get back just a split second late. As the Hawks will come out now, start on their own 20. 6:47 to play here in quarter number 2.
Conant wants to prevent another methodical drive here. They probably, I think we could see one of these 5 linebackers try to intercept the ball here.
Lasik with the catch to the left, gets a 1st down and more as he tiptoed down the sidelines. There's a gain of about 14 on that one, gives Maine South a quick 1st down on their own 34. Gorgeous night for football here at Conant. Minimal breeze, as John alluded to back in the 1st quarter. Clear skies. Couldn't ask for better weather here on week 4. It's kind of still above average in terms of temperatures here this time of September.
Yeah, I think it's right around 70, maybe high 60s or so.
No humidity, which is the rather important thing. As this 1st down toss going to go to Lasik. This time they go to the right side with him as he tries to go to the sidelines and is taken out just before the 40.
Complete to Dan Lasik, stopped by Anthony
And it's 2nd down, Maine South.
And Jeremy Betancourt.
Betancourt there on the stop for the Cougars.
2nd and 5, Maine South.
There's a gain of 5 on that toss to Lasik on that throw from.
Execute these short passes nice and crisp, very fast, so the defense doesn't have time to close in on it.
Ball at the 39 with 6:32 to play.
Now he's got two backs with him. That's a little unusual.
As Bartel's going to get the carry as he lunges forward to the 45-yard line, and that will be enough for yet another Hawks 1st down.
Carry by Jimmy Bartel, brought down by
Clock stops at 6:25. It'll run once the chains are set. As you mentioned, it's just been methodical what Maine South has done. It hasn't been flashy big plays. It's just been efficient plays that they've executed well. As it was trips out to the left, they look for the bubble screen. Oh, and Lasik drops the ball. Pass, they rule it incomplete. Conant thought it was going to be that backwards pass where you can go for it as a fumble.
Conant had a defender right in there disrupting things.
Dan Lasik incomplete.
So the Lasik drop makes it 2nd and 10 with 6:05 to play here in the 1st half.
The safety for Conant moved up on that one and got involved and disrupted that play.
Trips out to the left, one to the near right. Daniel Wolf now in the backfield to the right hip of Cole Dow. Dow holds it behind his back, tries to fool the Conant defense. Kilberg's downfield, and he makes the catch.
Makes the catch.
A nice trick play there from Cole Dow. Had the football held behind his back, throws it deep downfield to Ryan Kilberg, number 2. And it's first and goal, Maine South. We said that, John, they haven't done a lot of big flashy plays. Well, there's one right there.
There's one right there. You're looking for the short pass, and all of a sudden there's one that's 40, 50 yards downfield.
As it puts them at, they've spot the ball at the 11, so it'll be first down and 10 at the 11. 5:45 to play in the second quarter. 3 out to the left, 1 to the right. Daniel Wolf in the backfield. Down the shotgun, takes a snap, and Wolf's going to have it to the left side. And Daniel Wolf will run in for yet another Maine South touchdown.
Danny Wolf with the carry into the end zone for a
Although we do have a
Maine
penalty
South
flag.
touchdown. Flag on the play.
The flag is at about the 5. And it looks like this one may be coming back. And it is going to be back. It's a holding against the Hawks.
Holding.
So take those 6 points off the board there off that run from Danny Wolf, who had a 1-yard touchdown run back in the first quarter of play. The ball now will be spotted back at the 15-yard line, as it was a 10-yard penalty from where the foul had occurred. So officially it'll be first down and 14 off the holding call. 2 out to the right, 2 out to the left. Lazik in the backfield to Dow's right hip. 14-7 Maine South leads, and Dow's going to keep it himself. Look for some blockers to the left side, gets to the edge, and gets past the original line of scrimmage with a few extra yards, and that brings up second down for Maine South.
Cole Dowell continues to play very well. He's started the season as the #2 quarterback behind Bobby Insera, who got hurt I believe toward the end of the first half in their second game of the season, which was down on the south side of Chicago against Mount Carmel.
Second down and 8 with the ball at the 10. Ball on the far left hash, 2 to the right, and this one I'm not sure if that was a bobble snap, but either way, trying to stay to the low center of gravity there was Lasik. Got back to the line of scrimmage, it appears. It brings up third down, no gain on that play. Betancourt with another tackle as we now approach 5 minutes to play.
Mix up or something there that went wrong, but they still managed to protect the football.
Under 5 minutes now to play. Third down and 8, ball at the 10. 4 lined up to the right, 1 to the left. Dow takes the snap. He's going to throw it, and the pass is caught, and it is a Maine South touchdown. Ryan Kilberg gets the reception, and it's 20-7 Hawks with 4:45 to play here in the second quarter.
A lot of movement from that 4-person set to the right. A lot of movement to the left, but one fellow going to the right, and all that movement to the left cleaned a lot of defenders out.
Carolyn out for the extra point. Try to make, they say, 21-7 lead for Maine South. The snap, the hold, and the kick. It is up, and it is through the uprights, and good.
And the kick is good. Maine South takes
so after the holding penalty that kind of delayed the momentum of the Hawks offense, they are able to get a quick answer off of that flag that was thrown for holding. And they now go up by 2 touchdowns with 4:45 to play here in the second quarter.
Mark Langer favorite,
and just to reset it as well, Maine South does get the ball to start the second half too, so that score there, John, could become lingering big, assuming nothing happens on the Conant side if we go into halftime.
Yeah, they've opened up a pretty good lead here, but Conant will probably just pound away with their running game and hope for something good to happen, such as was the case when Frederick broke that real long one.
Carolina to kick this one in that.
They were close with Elk Grove at halftime. It was something like 6-3, and they wound up scoring about 33 points in that game, and it was a wear-down factor in the second half. So we'll see how Maine South's defense holds up against the consistent running of Conant in the second half.
Aiden Carolyn to kick off for the Hawks.
Marshall and Mayrick are back deep for the Cougars as they stand at about their own 5. Carolyn to kick this one away end-to-end from his own 40. And it'll be Marshall to take the return from about his own 12 as he slips through a couple of Hawk tacklers as he gets just short of the 25-yard line with 4:37 to play here in the first half.
Pretty good kick coverage by Maine South tonight after 2 episodes of kicks returned for touchdowns the last 2 games. And so far they've been pretty tenacious on their coverage of kickoffs here tonight.
First down and 10 now for the Cougars at their own 24. One receiver out to the left, everybody else bunched up at the line. Kevin Pulaski, the quarterback, under center. How about 8 men in the box for the Hawks defensively as the handoff goes to the left side, and taken down immediately there was Bradley Spates, number 34. Gain of a couple. It'll be second down and 8.
Kolchavari with a tackle. Short gain on the play, 2nd and 8 for the Cougars.
And not much, we talked about this with the running game, John, with the exception of that 72-yard run there from Malik Frederick back in the first quarter, the running game really hasn't gotten anything else going.
They haven't gotten the continuity that they're looking for, that's for sure. Where you'd have that steady drumbeat of 5, 6, 7 yards. That has not materialized for them.
Frederick in motion, he's going to get it on the end, is trying to get to the edge to the right side, but too many white jerseys around to sniff that one out.
Malik Frederick with the carry, Johnny
as Frederick lost about a couple on that one to make it third down and long. He's helping lead the way there on
10 for the Cougars.
That one for the Hawks defensively was number 50 and Ethan Leach. So third down and 10 with 3:30 to play here in the second quarter. 21-7 Maine South with the lead. One receiver to the left. Frederick in motion once again. And this time Pulaski's going to roll to his left. He's looking to air it downfield. And this one is overthrown to the intended receiver, Jesse Mayrick.
Incomplete.
As that one goes incomplete, and it's 4th down and 10.
4th and 10 for the Cougars.
And here comes the punting unit for Conant.
Maine South looking very good on defense. They've been a set that looks almost like a 5-man defensive line. It's 3 down linemen with 2 linebackers right up on just slightly off the line of scrimmage in tight on either side. And they're really slowing down the running game right now.
Lazick and Nathan Smith are back deep as Lazick escapes one tackle and then is met by a bunch of Cougars after the fact. Ball came out, but they're ruling that Lazick was down before the ball came out. Got the crowd sparked there for a moment on the side of the Cougars, as they'll officially have the ball spotted at the 44-yard line. With 2:57 to play here in this first half.
Takes over 1st and 10.
Once again, here comes that methodical Hawks offense back out onto the field. And it was big plays to Ryan Kilberg on that last drive, and he ended it with a 10-yard touchdown catch. Cole Dow, who stepped in the spot of Bobby and Sarah, who went out in week 2 to a leg injury. Nevertheless, in that loss to Barrington at home last week, has done the job quite well under center for head coach Dave and Sarah.
Looking very poised, he's making good decisions. He's executing very well, both running and passing. He's had a few runs tonight that have played into their success.
So with the ball spotted at the 44, 1st and 10 for the Hawks. Perhaps looking to make one final score before they get the ball to start the second half. So this can really loom big. As the handoff will go to Danny Wolf. Gets past midfield And gets a nice push from behind with his offensive line to make it second and short off that first down run.
Joey Carroll. Gain of 7, 2nd and 3 for the Hawks.
7-yard run there for Danny Wolf, as it puts them now back in Conant territory at the Conant 49. 2:30 now to play. Both teams have all 3 of their timeouts, and we get a flag.
Illegal substitution.
As there was an illegal substitution against Maine South, so that's going to back them up 5 yards. And head coach Dave and Sarah not pleased with the officials on that call, as that puts them back in their own territory at the 46. Head coach Dave and Sarah ripped the headset off, asking for the explanation. And he's not going to still get one that he will like. So to make it 2nd down and 8 after the illegal substitution call. 3 to the right, 1 to the left. Holdout drops back. He's looking downfield. Pressure comes. He throws the ball as he was going to the ground. It'll be an incomplete pass to make it 3rd down, but nevertheless, good pressure there from this Cougars defense that really hasn't gotten to Coldell a whole lot here in this first half.
Got that off. There was a man near the ball, so it doesn't. They don't get a call for grounding.
Pass ruled incomplete.
So it makes it 3rd down and 8 with 2:01 to play here in the second quarter. 21-7 Maine South. 3 out to the right, 2 to the left. Ball at the 46. Dow takes the snap. He's looking to his left. He's going to step up, and he resets, trying to gather. Can't find anybody downfield. He's going to run it himself, and he still stays down the sideline. And turning something out of nothing is Cole Dow into Cougar territory with that run, and it's 1st down Maine South yet again.
Very persistent there. He just kept going and wound up getting the 1st down with ease at the end.
He made that tiptoeing play down the far sideline look quite easy.
It was rough going in the early part of that run, but then he broke it and made it with plenty of room to spare. So Maine South now has the ball on the 38 with only a minute 49.
Gain of 18 on the play as Bartel's going to take the handoff to the right side inside the 30, and he stumbles forward to the 25. And Maine South gets another 1st down on this drive. Clock stops at 1:41.
Stopped by Joey Carroll and Anthony Wackel.
13-yard run there from Bartel. Clock will wind once again once the chains are set.
Down.
Three out to the left, 2 to the right. Opponent's still trying to scramble on defense for personnel, as Dow's going to keep it himself right up the middle. He finds a big hole, and Cole Dow takes it to the house. Touchdown Hawks with 1:28 to play here in the first half.
I think they like what they see up the middle there. They spread everybody out. That's what the spread offense is supposed to do. You spread everybody out. It leaves the middle somewhat open, and you've got a quarterback that can run the way Cole Dow can.
Aiden Carolyn with the extra point attempt.
He can do what he just did. A nice run right up the middle.
To go up 3 touchdowns and an extra point here with Aiden Carolyn to kick this one away for the PAT. Snap and hold is there. The kick is up, and it is good.
And the kick is
and with
good.
1:28 to play
28.
here in this second
Cougars,
quarter,
7.
Maine South makes it a 28-7 lead. And again, they get the ball to start the second half. And we kind of mentioned, John, when that drive first started, if they can score, it can loom big as they get that opening possession in that second half.
Second half, and with a 3-touchdown lead, it's a situation where Conant has a real uphill battle here. As I said, they did have a big second half against Elk Grove, but they're playing a legitimate powerhouse here in Maine South. This is a solid football team. They play quality defense, and they run the football, they pass the football, they do everything well. And they lost last week, but Barrington had a little help on some of those plays, I think, to beat this team.
And Maine South trying to get that bad taste out of their mouth after losing at home to Barrington, and it's very rare that Maine South loses at home. Carolyn with the end away kick. Washoe to take this from about his own 8-yard line. Washoe looking for some blockers to his left, and he doesn't get much as he gets taken down just short of the 15-yard line.
Carolyn's kick returned by Anthony Wackel.
Here comes this Cougars
and
offense led by quarterback Kevin Pulaski that
first and 10.
is looking for any kind of offensive spark here with 80 seconds to play here in this first half.
And as it's been said so many times, if you're a running team and you get this far behind, it can take you out of your game to some extent. With 120, they've been averaging fewer than 3 passes a game. They'll probably have to throw about 2 or 3 times here to try to move the ball.
And that run there up to the right side goes for a gain of a couple, and we get a whistle and a timeout as looks like Maine South called the timeout.
Johnny Halverson.
So the clock stops at 1:11.
2nd and 8 for the Cougars.
Well, after scoring fairly rapidly before, maybe they're going to
timeout Maine South.
Try to force a punt here and have a few seconds left and have a shot at the end zone again.
You can tell they're trying to get a little more aggressive as the second quarter continues on. They've opened it up to a 28-7 lead here on the road against the Cougars, who, you know, not a lot of expectations from this Cougars team coming into 2018, but I mean, regardless of the loss last week, John, they've really exceeded a lot of people's expectations here in this early portion of the season.
Well, this is the second year of Brian Stortz, who's won a state title. He's finished second twice. And even last year, I know we did a few games, we did a couple of their games last year, and you saw that they were progressing, and that's carried over into this season. And coming into the game, they were 2-1, and they're up against a very tough opponent here, but they're playing improved football over what they were doing just a few years ago.
2nd and 7 as Frederick faked it on the end around and stumbling his way forward for the first down, just short of the 30 was Joseph Perez. So a nice run there from the Cougars with 1:05 to play.
For a Conant first down.
Clock will once again wind as we now have 1 minute to play here in this first half. Frederick in motion, and Pulaski will roll to his right, and he's going to throw to Frederick. The pass is caught, and he's stopped at about the 35-yard line. So there you go, John. There's another pass.
Yeah, another pass. I think they've thrown maybe 5-6 times this half after coming in here. Only 8 passes on the whole season.
2nd down and 4. That was a gain of 6 on that catch, as they're going to throw it yet again, and this one's going to be just short to the intended receiver in Perez, and it'll be 3rd down.
Pulaski's pass to
they're making up for all that lost time in the passing game, John.
Stortz talked in some of the preseason interviews about having the program in for another year makes a difference, because the players have been through the system for a whole season, the ones that come back, and that has made a difference in their play this year.
30 seconds on the clock, 1 receiver out to the near left. Man in motion as Frederick's going to get the handoff, and he's immediately met by the Hawks defensive line, as leading the way there for Maine South was number 57, John Halverson. Brings up 4th down, and the punting unit comes out. As a timeout was called by Maine South to stop the clock with 26.8 seconds. So that's their 2nd timeout used. They have 1 remaining. Opponent still has all 3 of theirs.
Chance for a run back or a couple of long passes, perhaps.
And we've seen this Hawks offense start throwing the ball a little deeper and get more aggressive in the passing game in the second quarter. And you have to imagine they may just do the same thing with these final seconds ticking away here in this first half. It'll be Pulaski to appear to boot this one end to end, as Lasik is back deep along with Nathan Smith. As the officials want to make sure the play clock gets reset properly. Not sure of the other delay. All players are out there set, ready to go. Band getting ready in front of us here to perform to the crowd at halftime. No obstructions around the field. You kind of see some of the players kind of standing around, putting their arms up, saying, hey, why aren't we going? Officials are having a conversation, but looks like now we're ready to go.
Now we're ready.
Not sure what the rather delay was, but looks like it was a clock issue. They do put 28 seconds on the clock now. As the punt now from Pulaski is a good one to the far side. And it'll be Lasik to take it. Takes it from about his own 37. He kind of goes back a bit looking for an edge. He keeps spinning back. Now to his right. Looks for a lane. Doesn't get it. And not the greatest decisions there from Lasik, as that took a lot of time off the clock. Only 12 seconds remain. Not a smart move there on special teams for the Hawks.
And Ronald Williams.
So they've got enough time for a couple, maybe 2 long passes here.
And head coach Dave Ansara out there, out to the numbers, yelling at his special teams unit about that one, as he lost about 8 yards on that punt return, as the ball spotted at the 28. And you have to wonder, with all this yards, they'd have to go 72 yards in 12 seconds. I have to wonder if they may just take a knee and go to the half with a 3-touchdown lead. But they're going to go for it with 3 out to the left, 1 to the right. And you've got Daniel Wolf in the backfield.
South has a lot of confidence in their passing game.
Yep, and they get a screen to Lasik, and he runs up the middle with a nice carry just short of the 45. 5 seconds tick down, clock stops. Because of the first down move, the clock will automatically stop at 4 seconds. Of course, no huddle for this Hawks offense here to try to get one final play off before the half comes to an end. And it looks like even with that stop because of the chains, the Hawks call their final timeout of the half.
Well, they had a little crossing pattern underneath there, and Conant had enough players there to make the tackle, but it was a dangerous play. Lasik, if he had found a little opening there, he could have gone quite a distance.
Lasik trying to make up for the punt return that gave them minus yardage on that one. And it took a decent amount of time off the clock that I'm sure head coach David Ansara would much rather have wanted back rather than trying to do a little zigzag on the punt return. The ball's at the 43-yard line. It's 1st and 10, presuming this to be the last play of the first half. With the Hawks up 28-7 on the road against the Conant Cougars.
This will almost certainly be a long, long pass, but maybe something underneath it, but the only thing that counts here is something that makes it to the end zone.
They'll need to go 57 yards to get 6 more points. 2 to the left, 2 to the right. And the secondary is putting back deep. As this one thrown over the middle, it's caught by Lasik. And Lasik going to go to the left side, spin around, and that will do it for this first half of play.
Similar play again. I think they were hoping they could do a little more downfield blocking, but that didn't materialize.
First half comes to an end. A silent Cougars crowd as they trail 28-7 to the visiting Maine South Hawks. It's time for a halftime break. We'll get you set for second half action and a whole lot more, as it's the Maine South Hawks up 28-7 over the Conant Cougars. We'll be back for second half action and more coming up next on our HETV Game of the Week. Back with you here for our HETV Game of the Week as we're about to begin second half action between the Maine South Hawks and the Conant Cougars. Alongside John Anderson, Ryan Fay with you here on the call from Conant High School. Hawks lead at 28-7 as we're about to begin the second half of play. But John, in that second quarter especially, 21 answered there from Maine South, and Conant has just really not been able to find any answers on either side of the ball.
Well, they've got to get back to doing what they're trying to do, and what they've been doing best all season is running the football. And in that second quarter, it seemed like Maine South had really started to put the clamps on their running game. And so we'll see what happens here in the early going if Conant can assert itself on the ground and get its basic ground game back to a productive level where they're gaining more 3 to 6 or 7 yards a carry instead of 1, 2, or 3, and I think they have to just go out and try to do it and see if they can bring it up to a level that's really productive again.
It was a 10-yard touchdown catch from Ryan Kilberg, a 5-yard touchdown run from Jimmy Bartell, Cole Dowd, the quarterback, with a 25-yard touchdown run, and Daniel Wolf with a 1-yard touchdown run to give the 4 touchdowns for Maine South in that first half. And the one score for the Conant Cougars that was led by the sophomore in Malik Frederick that had a 72-yard run to get the Cougars in first and goal territory back in the first quarter. Anthony Watchell got a 10-yard touchdown reception from quarterback Kevin Pulaski, and those are our scores that we've had through one half of play. Maine South will get the ball here to start the second half of action, up by 3 scores. And they'll be going left to right here to begin this third quarter of action. They're in the road white uniforms with the red helmets and the black numbers, while the Conant Cougars are in their home navy blue uniforms with the orange trim and the white numbers, white pants, and the white helmets. Back deep for Maine South to return this kick is number 22 Nathan Smith and number 23 Daniel Lazick. As we see Conant special teams come out of their huddle in just a moment and kick this one end to end, trailing by 21. We saw, John, towards the latter end of that second quarter, we mentioned in the pregame that Conant, not a passing team by any standards, only throwing 8 attempts coming into today. In that second quarter, the passing game kind of opened up quite a bit.
Sort of necessity, Necessity is the mother of invention or whatever. Necessity here was the catalyst for going to the passing game. They got so far behind, and they had some long third and long situations, and quite frankly, the running game has not asserted itself quite as much. It did to some degree in the early going, and they had the big run with by Fredericks, but Maine South, the defense of Maine South, really clamped down on the running game in that second quarter.
Malik Frederick to kick this one end to end. We mentioned they're going right to left here for this third quarter of action. Maine South left to right. Sophomore kicks it away, and the second half is underway. As picking this one up is Nathan Smith. To the left side he goes. It's past the 30, and he is taken down just ahead of it. I should say rather the 20-yard line, excuse me, and that'll bring up the Hawks to come out here for their opening second quarter drive as the ball spotted at the 23-yard line. So we'll see Cole Dow, the second-string quarterback, who came in, as we mentioned, after Bobby and Sarah got injured in the game against Mount Carmel a couple of weeks ago. Had a very good showing still in that loss to Barrington at home last week, and has got even more impressive here so far through one half of play against the Cougars. As the handoff is going to go to Bartell up the middle. It's past the 25 and falls forward to the 27 for an upcoming second down.
I think he was a little unsettled in that I saw some of that Mount Carmel game on TV, and he had a little difficulty in the second half there generating offense, and Sarah had been moving the team better in the first half, but last week against Barrington he was able to complete 74% of his passes, and tonight he's not only passing but he's been running well.
Bartell on the carry to the right side, got held on the back jersey to stop his momentum, and he gets to the 30, and that's where I believe they're going to spot him with his forward progress, and it'll be third down and a few yards coming for the Hawks.
3rd and 3 for the Hawks.
Well, they need an early stop, and here it is, third down. Maine South is awfully good at the short possession pass, and they've also found some running room up the middle with the quarterback tonight, especially.
3rd down and 3 on their own 30-yard line. Need to get to the 33 to convert. 3 out to the left, 1 to the near right, 1 man to
Conant
the
looking
backfield.
for the pass. They don't have many guys up on the line.
They look for the pass, and it is caught. And getting past midfield and a whole lot more is Michael Velasquez in the Cougars territory. It was a short pass, and it paid off big for the Hawks. First down in the Conant territory.
Velasquez.
He's another receiver with some
Brought down by
size. 6'3", 195 pounds. And he almost was able to pull out of that tackle.
They spot the ball at the Conant 31 as Maine South continues their opening second half drive. Now they get into Cougar territory. Trips to the left, 1 to the right.
Sort of a bubble situation to the left there.
And the handoff up the middle goes to Daniel Wolf, who's got a touchdown run in this game. Gets a gain of about 6 or 7. He got an extra push from behind with his offensive line.
Danny Wolf with
and
the
it brings
carry,
up second and manageable now for
Dodoni.
the Hawks, as we now have under 10 minutes to play in this third quarter. They still lead 28-7.
Second and 4 for the Hawks.
There's an official gain of 6 there on that run from Danny Wolf. 2 out to the left, 1 to the right, 2 men in the backfield. As Old Dow's going to keep it himself. He thought about optioning it to his left, and he lunges forward past the 20, and it'll be once again a Maine South first down, and a late flag comes out on the back end of the play. Behind the Conant secondary, a flag comes out. Let's see what it is. This came after the play had been blown dead, and a personal foul against the Hawks. So negate that first down run there from Cole Dow. That'll back Maine South up.
Personal foul called against Maine South.
Although as the official word came out, he actually pointed in the Conant direction, but I think he meant to say that was more so for the flag to go against Maine South. The penalty brings them back now to the 35-yard line. So that brings up second down and long. Second and about 15 here. 9:18 to play in the third. 2 out to the right, 1 to the left, 2 men in the backfield once again. Same formation as the play before. It means out of 21 unanswered points in that second quarter of action.
Sort of a tight formation for Maine South with the 2 backs.
And on the reverse, it's going to be Lazick on the carry to the left side. Lazick, even after that penalty that backed him up for second and long, Lazick gets them that first down right to the same spot where Cole Dow had originally got that first down run before that flag a moment ago.
First down.
So Maine South with quick redemption for itself after the personal foul a few moments ago. We now have under 9 minutes to play in this third quarter.
It was hard to bring down that time. He stretched that one out for about another 4 or 5 yards after the initial contact.
2 out to the right, 1 to the left, 1 man in the backfield. That's Bartell. Takes the handoff off the middle, breaks 1 tackle, and that's all he does. As a sea of blue meets him right away.
Jimmy Bartell with
a couple
the carry,
yards
Anthony
past the
Wackle,
line of
first on the
scrimmage, brings up
tackling.
second down. Bartell had a
Second and
5-yard
8,
touchdown
South.
run back in the second quarter.
Maine South offensive line doing quite a job here tonight, too, providing running room, time to pass.
Officially a gain of 2. Empty backfield, 3 to the left, 2 to the right. Ball at the 16-yard line of Conant. Old Dow all alone in the backfield as he looks to his left. Kind of looks for the screen there from Lazick. Lazick with a few blocks ahead, and he runs it in for the touchdown.
Dow's pass complete to Dan Lasik.
16 yards
Touchdown,
on the
Maine
throw
South.
to Daniel Lasik, and it's 34-7 Maine South with 7:52 to play here in quarter number 3.
Maine South really looking like a polished football team here tonight. running, passing, playing good defense.
Mentioned that loss at home to Barrington last week left a bitter taste in their mouth, and they're trying to get that taste out of their mouth with this match here against Conant. The extra point is up, and it is right down the middle. Good. So now Maine South takes a 35-7 lead with 7:52 to play here in this third quarter. Again, just to mention the running clock rule in high school football, if the lead is at 40 points or greater, that's when the running clock comes into effect.
Remember,
it's only a
fans,
28-point lead right now.
Boosters membership or athletic pass, be sure to stop by the Boosters table to pick up your membership packet.
And thanks for joining us for our HETV Game of the Week alongside John Anderson, Ryan Fay with you here on the call, and as always, we're behind the scenes and running the camera tonight, Bruce Anderson.
Boosters volunteer.
Well, I think the only thing Conant has going for it right now is they've got lots of time. We've got 7:52 left in the third quarter, so there's a lot of time left in this game during which they could make some progress, but they certainly have an uphill battle trailing by 28 points. And even though Maine South is such a storied program and in what appears to be a pretty good year and everything, it appeared at the outset here that Conant would be able to hang with them a little better than they're doing right at the moment.
Charlie Santos, Julia Grezik,
Aiden Carolyn to kick this one end from his own 40. Watcher will go back deep for the Cougars, along with Jesse Mayrick.
And they are led, of course, by
trailing
Bruce
by
Mott
4 scores
John Shoro
here on their home field. Both teams 2-1 coming into action today. And the road doesn't really get much easier for Conant even after this week. They have to take on the Barrington Broncos next week as Mid-Suburban League play begins next week. As this one will be caught just ahead of the 10-yard line there by Kyle Prodzinski as he takes this one past the 20. Gets a few yards more after that.
Brought down by Jimmy
Took 8 seconds off the clock there, and here comes Kevin Pulaski and the Cougars.
Cougars take over 1st and 10.
And we mentioned how we saw a little bit more of the passing game, being executed by head coach Brian Stortz in this Cougars offense. John, do you expect to see more of that here with the deficit as big as it is?
Well, with this big a deficit, I think they'll have to break out of their pattern that they had established for the first 3 games where they were under 3 passes per game. They already have done that, and I think with a 28-point deficit, they'll definitely be passing more than their norm. Nevertheless, they still need to do better with their run game in order to make anything happen here.
Off the carry there is Malik Frederick, the sophomore.
Malik Frederick on the carry, tackled by Danny Wolf.
No gain on the play. Brings up 2nd and 10.
No gain, 2nd down and 10.
The sophomore Frederick has had the biggest play of the game for Conant offensively. He had that 72-yard run that led to the Anthony Watchell 10-yard touchdown catch. That's been the only offense that we've seen out of this Cougars team so far tonight. And as the rollout to the right for Kevin Pulaski, rolls to his right, and the pass is caught. That's Anthony Watchell, and he's going to be just short of the first down. 3rd down Cougars coming up.
Gain of 10.
Looks like it's within about a foot of a first down.
Down in inches.
3rd and short. Charlie Romano on the tackle.
Ball at the 34-yard line. We have 6:45 to play in the third.
This Maine South defense against Mount Carmel, they allowed, Mount Carmel had 13 points, but half of it was on a kick return for a touchdown. And Barrington had a kick return for a touchdown. So this team has not allowed many touchdowns all season long.
3rd down in inches, and the Cougars appear to have gotten it. Forward progress will get them to the 35. And that's a first down for the home team in blue.
Joey Perez on the carry, gain of 2. Good
Perez
enough for a Cougar
gets the first down for Conant. And it gives the Cougars fans something to applause too. As Watchell's going to come on out, and checking in his spot is Bradley Spates, number 34. I mentioned in the pregame how the running back usage is kind of a platoon swap, so to speak. 6 minutes to play in the third, 35-7 Hawks. First and 10 on the 35, Frederick in motion. Kevin Pulaski is going to roll to his left. Across his body, he makes the nice throw to Spates.
Pulaski's pass is complete.
As that one, not an easy throw to complete.
Rollout pass and throwing on the run, and a right-handed thrower running to the left. He has to kind of rotate his whole body around and crank that one up and get it off, which he did.
One of the members of the coaching staff very upset about something that happened, I think, after the play. And some of the players are even holding him back. It was a gain of 6 on that catch. Pulaski with a spinner on it. It looked like he wanted to roll out, but he gives the handoff as that one went to Joey Perez.
Certainly a spot
lost
where
about a yard maybe, but either way it's third down.
Joey Perez with the carries, stopped on the play by Ryan Kilberg and Andrew Mikrid.
Brings up third down for Conant. Under 5 minutes now to play in the third. Fast going game here. And his kickoff scheduled for 7:30. And it's just past the 9 o'clock hour here in Chicago.
Defensive linemen for Maine South playing very well. Johnny Halverson and Ethan Leach.
Yeah, we get a whistle and a
flag on the play.
Down linemen that are.
Looks like we had a flag that went against Conant.
Sideline warning.
A sideline warning against the Cougars. So sideline warning goes against Conant. Doesn't negate any yardage off of, or I should say, now they actually, I think they called for the penalty, and this is really going to back up Conant. As this puts him all the way back now to the 26-yard line, and it was unsportsmanlike conduct called after that on the sideline of Conant. So that 15-yard penalty really backs up the Cougars now, as the ball spotted at the 26. They need to get all the way to the 45-yard line to convert.
3rd and 20.
So on 3rd and 20, Pulaski looks back. He's going to heave it downfield, and nobody home on that one.
Way over everybody.
As the intended receiver there was Jesse Mayrick. And it brings up 4th down. And penalties now shooting themselves in the foot are the Cougars, and the punting unit comes on out.
Mayrick covered on the play by Ryan Kilberg and Brian Berry.
Well, these defensive linemen for Maine South, Ethan Leach, Johnny Halverson, and Dylan Harris, the 3 down linemen, have been clogging up that middle pretty good. Their work plus the linebackers are very mobile, and it's been a rough night for the Conant offense.
Catch made there by Smith on the punt return. Gets close to the midfield line at the 50. They put him at the 49.
Nathan Smith with the return.
As a 4:10 to play in the third quarter, Maine South will try its offense out there once again.
With the stop. 1st and 10, Maine South.
28 overall unanswered points for Maine South since the start of the second quarter.
Maine South just controlling the game since sometime early in the second quarter, really. Slowing down the run game of Conant, and meanwhile executing their offense very well. Looking like a Maine South team comparable to some of the champions that they've had in the past.
Both these teams 2-1 coming into play today, but Maine South trying to take out its anger against the Conant team, and we get a whistle, and it looks like the play clock had hit 0, so this may be a delay of game call. And I believe that is what it's going to be, and it will. So that backs him up now to the 44. The 5-yard penalty. And actually, there's a timeout call before the flag had, I guess, gone for delay game. So the Hawks call a timeout.
By Maine South.
So they'll have 2 more remaining here in the half. 4:10 to play. Conant still has all 3 of their timeouts. Third quarter action. Maine South leads 35-7. You have to wonder, John, with a 28-point lead, do you foresee Maine South still being aggressive?
to the
Well,
Cougar Grill.
at this level of
And
lead,
get yourself any brats, burgers,
they might
Clicker
try to
sandwiches, or
exercise just
hometown
more
hot
ball
dogs that are
control
still
and
there.
run the clock. But on the other hand, they've historically and tonight they've had such an efficient passing game that I think they'll keep going until, you know, if the way they're going, that running clock is within reach. The way the last quarter and a half have gone, and so they may just go for that, and then when they get if and when they get there, they slow it down. But they may not slow it down just yet. That's sort of a target for some of these super teams.
As the handoff to the right side past midfield, as Nathan Smith on the carry gets a gain of about 3.
Nathan Smith on the carry.
Under 4 minutes now to play in the third.
Stopped by Malik Frederick.
And again, as we mentioned,
2nd and 7, Maine South.
Maine South controlling this game and not in any hurry to get back to the line. Just starting to drain some clock out up by 28. 10 seconds on the play clock. 3 out to the left, 1 to the right.
Strategy is a little different in high school in these.
As Dow gets the carry himself deeper into Cougar territory at the 40.
That play has been
Down
open
with
most
keeper,
of the night.
gain of around 10.
There's been some fairly
Stopped
good
on the
running
play
room
by
for the
Mason
quarterback up
Reiger.
the middle all
Good
night
enough for a
long.
Maine South first down.
So a Maine South first down puts them at the Cougars' 39-yard line.
Unlike pro and college, you don't have that incentive of a running clock. If you do get to 40, you basically, once you hit that, once it's triggered, it stays running. It's basically like game over if you can get there.
As that one overthrown pass to the intended
Down
receiver
pass
and
intended
Eric
for
Lello
So
as a
incomplete.
penalty flag comes out after the incompletion.
Yeah.
As in the area trying to get the interception perhaps there was Mason
Flag on the
Reiger.
play.
I think that was evidence of the intentions of Maine South. They've got their eye on that running clock if they can get there, and that's the real way to put a game away. In college football, you get ahead, you want to try to run the clock out by just running the football all the time, but in high school you want to keep going and going
Ineligible
and hope you get to a
downfield
40-point
pass.
advantage. Right now they're at 28.
And there was a penalty that went against Maine South for an eligible receiver downfield. So the Cougars will accept the penalty and have Maine South get backed up. Ball's at the 44-yard line. 3:10 to play in the third. 3 out to the left, 1 to the right. Smith to the right, hip of Dow in the backfield as Dow is going to look downfield to the left side, and the pass is out of bounds, incomplete,
Dow's pass
as he was
intended
looking
for
there
Michael
for
Velasquez.
Michael Velasquez, and that brings up
Ryan
3rd down and
Scharr on the
15.
coverage, incomplete.
We really haven't seen much of a big answer from Conant defensively here. And we talked about how they had 3 turnovers in the loss last week against Evanston. They had that opening drive fumble in the first quarter. Haven't turned the ball over, they just haven't been able to make stops defensively, as Dow's going to keep it on 3rd and 15, and he gets a couple, but that's going to be it. Leading the
Down
way
with the
there
keeper, brought
defensively
down by
was Derek
along with
Lewandowski,
Mason
the junior
Reiger.
linebacker.
That time they
That
did
brings
a
up 4th
much
down.
better job of having a linebacker stay home on that
3rd
and look for the
13,
quarterback.
Maine South.
Heretofore, that's been open a tremendous amount tonight, with everybody clearing out that middle zone and leaving it open for Cole Dow to run up the middle. But that time he was met by a linebacker that was policing that area.
Let me correct myself. That was 2nd down. Now 3rd down because of that ineligible receiver penalty that was accepted earlier by Conant. Dow looking downfield, lofts one up, and that one's going to be intercepted. Reading that one in great coverage, Anthony Watchell as the intended receiver and Ryan Kilberg
He had
far
a
down the field, and Dow just didn't get it to him with enough power.
Yeah, Kilberg was there, and the throw was just a little too soft.
So Watchell with the INT, and maybe that's the spark that Conant gets here with 2:16 to play in the third.
Get the ball back, and there's still time to do something.
So we'll see what Conant can do with that as they've been gifted the ball back. Ball spotted at the 20. Off the interception from Anthony Watchell, who also plays running back, and he lines up as a receiver to the left side here. Pulaski gets under center. One man in motion, and Pulaski is going to look to the left side for the sophomore Frederick, who lays out but cannot make the catch. Pass was overthrown, incomplete, and it's second down Cougars.
Coverage on the play by Charlie
Quite a program, Maine South. 5 state titles since year 2000. 6 including the one they had in '95. And then 3 second place finishes from, I believe it was 02, 03, 05. So 3 seconds and 6 firsts.
Not a bad resume to put on your state championship appearances. As this one,
that's for sure,
is a run that goes for a gain of a few for a third down. And I mean, even
Stepped on
not
the
just
play
from
by
a
Antonio Pavon.
state of Illinois perspective, I mean, on a national stage, I mean, that, and you look at that and compare it to some of the other teams, you know, from the state of
3rd and 6
California,
for the Cougars.
Texas, Don Bosco Prep over in New Jersey. I mean, that kind of a resume over the last 2 decades, that stacks up as one of the best high school football programs in the whole country.
Yeah, it most certainly does.
It's 3rd down and 6 as Frederick got the carry. And he
Malik
gained
Frederick with the
maybe
carry.
a yard as it brings up
Dan Locascio
a
with the stop.
4th down play. And the offense going to stay out there. 4th down and 6, 1:20 to play in the 3rd. And I believe they're going to get Maine South on the jump off sides. It's 4th and 6. It wouldn't be enough for a first down. As jumping the gun there, looking like it was John Halverson, number 57, one of the defensive linemen for the Hawks.
A neutral zone infraction against Maine
That's
South.
what they call. So they'll make it 4th and 1. So much easier conversion attempt on 4th down coming up for Conant. Or they gave him the first down. That's
just barely made the first down. Yeah.
I know on the board it said 4th and 6, so it must have been just enough inches wise to give him the first down. So new set of downs for the Cougars. 2 men in the backfield, 1 receiver out to the right. As Pulaski on the toss to the left side finds Perez, who made his own hole towards the 35.
Some of those wide plays are the ones that the Storts teams in the past have been able to execute with really good blocking and get more. You know, they got about 4 yards on that one, but some of his better teams, it was 6-7 yards on those frequently.
Under 30 seconds here in the quarter to go. I believe they gave him official carry of 3. Man in motion, Pulaski throwing to his right. Pass is caught by Watchell, and that's going to be enough past the 40-yard line for a Cougars first down.
Pass complete to Anthony Wackel, brought down by Mike Pagliaro.
Good throw on that one, good velocity, and it's the type of throw across the field where it has to get there fast. You don't want that one hanging around too long. It could be potentially picked off.
Clock continuing to run as we hit under 15 seconds to play in the quarter. Have to imagine this be the final play, perhaps, of the 3rd. 5 seconds on the clock. 1 man in motion. They do get the play off, but a flag goes. Clock stops at 2 seconds remaining in the 3rd. And we've got an injured Cougar down on the field at the 45. As
number 66.
Penalty that goes against Conant. And getting up on his own power, though, and being okay there, as you mentioned, number 66, Nicola Levar. So the clock will wind after the penalty, but that'll do it for the 3rd quarter of play. Still dominance from Maine South here through 3 quarters of play.
It's the end of the 3rd quarter. Maine
as
South
we go to the 4th quarter with Maine
Cougars
South up
7.
35-7. And it was that big 2nd quarter from Maine South that had 21 points scored in that 2nd. That has really kind of led the charge here through 3 quarters of action. And John, as we kind of look ahead even to next week, we mentioned it doesn't get any easier for Conant as they got to take on Barrington next week to begin Mid-Suburban League Conference play.
That'll be a tough one, but after they get past Barrington, there are other teams that they can be competitive with. And you look at the league this year, there's a couple of teams that historically and in recent years have been very good, like Fremd and Palatine, that seem to be down a little bit. So this Conant team has shown me that even, in the way they played for part of the first quarter and subsequently, that they're playing some fairly decent basic football. They're up against a Maine South team that has really executed well tonight, and I think Cole Dow is really coming along as a quarterback here. He's a backup, but he looks like a very first-rate starting quarterback here tonight.
Maine South begins conference play last week as the pass there completed to Wackel, and that puts him past the original line of scrimmage, and 2nd down and 9 coming up.
For the Cougars.
As some of the Maine South faithful heading for the exits early to perhaps beat the traffic.
There are nights where you play poorly, but there are nights where you play fairly well and you're still just outplayed. That happens. And tonight, Maine South has played excellent football here the last couple of quarters.
Watchell at midfield, stumbles around a couple defenders, gets in the Hawks territory for the first down. So Watchell gets the first down. Again, Maine South begins conference play next week against Evanston, who, when we last checked, John, it was leading Barrington at Barrington.
An early score, but still impressive for Evanston. And Evanston, defeating this Conant team last week and winning their first 2 games. So
at halftime right now in that game, as this pass downfield to the right side is incomplete to Watchell. At the half, at Barrington, Evanston leads it 13-7.
That's the same score that we saw earlier.
7-10 for the Cougars.
So that's impressive defense for Evanston. Barrington has been an offensive powerhouse the last 4 years or so, 4 or 5 years. They've really had great offense, and starting of this year, they looked like their offense was in pretty good shape again.
2nd down and 10 off the incompletion. Frederick in motion, and he's going to get the toss to the right. And the sophomore is going to be immediately met behind the 45-yard line as the tackle there made by Dylan Harris.
Harris, Halverson, and Leash.
And on the field right now, they actually announced that John Halverson made the tackle, and Dylan Harris just put his arms up in the air saying, "You got to be kidding me. You got to give me credit for that." It was 67, not 57 that made the tackle.
Not 57, yeah.
You got to love the emotions expressed sometimes on that one. Quick error by the public address announcer, but that's okay. We all make mistakes. We're human. It happens. There's a loss of 1 on that run. 3rd down and 11. Frederick in motion again. Pulaski under center. He's going to roll to his left, and he's going to be immediately met in the backfield and taking him down there, leading the way for the Hawks was Tone Pabin, number 44, and it's 4th down for the Cougars.
That time it was a passing situation, and Maine South had its linebackers way off the line of scrimmage, so they were looking for that short possession pass, and it never quite materialized, but their linebackers are pretty deep again.
4th and 15, Cougars going for it. 1 receiver out to each side, 1 man in the backfield. Frederick in motion, Pulaski looks back, pressure comes, steps up, and there he goes down. Theodore Hickey gets the sack.
Jimmy Bartel blitzing that time, put a lot of pressure on.
So a turnover on downs. So the Hawks now will take possession in Conant territory, and they'll have the ball at the Cougar 45-yard line. And everything just going Maine South's way here tonight on the road, as they look with 9:57 to play here in regulation, come on the road and get a victory against the Cougars team that took a few steps back to their loss last week at Evanston. And Maine South coming off of a loss that they really should have won, as they kind of held Barrington in check for the latter part of that game last week. We give credit to Barrington on that rally, as the toss here to the left for Smith gets a gain of a few. And both sides here in Conant and Maine South, their opponents playing each other. Evanston, Barrington that we mentioned, that Wildcats lead the Broncos 13-7 at the half over at Barrington.
I think from a strategy standpoint now, the getting to the running clock is not as important right now. I think they probably just as I say that, they open it up here, but
the pass there.
I was thinking that a little ball control and getting some time off the clock would be the strategy right at the moment here. They're leading by 28 with 9:17 to go, and if you can take 4 or 5 minutes off the clock, you've effectively ended the game. Or at least about a 98% chance that the game is over at that point.
3rd down and 7. You see some fans heading for the exits early. Ball at the 43, 3 out to the right, 1 to the left. Smith, the man in motion, and he's gonna throw to his right, Dow, and the pass is caught. And trying to make a couple of dance moves along the side there was Eric Lilo, number 3. Gained a couple and makes it 4th down for Maine South. We now have under 9 minutes to play here in the
gain of 2, 4th and 6 for Maine South.
As in now to the ball game for Maine South is number 25, Jack Lyden. So Lyden gets in at the wide receiver spot. 3 out to the right, 1 to the left. Hawks going for it here on 4th down while the clock runs with 8:45 to go. Smith in motion, Dow fakes it, and he's going to try to run to his left, and he's going to get the 1st down past the 30. And once again, the junior 2nd-string quarterback by Cole Dow has just made some very impressive plays here tonight, John, with his feet.
Yeah, he's got good speed. Now that one was running to the outside. Mostly it's been up the middle tonight, but with his running, that's what has been available, but there he showed he could improvise and suddenly take off and run for the corner. He picked up a nice gain right there. So he's really performing well in that position at this point. He's running and passing well.
And on the end around attempt on the man in motion, that was Eric Lilo again.
Eric Lilo with the carry, taken out by Kyle Protzinski.
Gain of about 8 yards on that one. So it'll be 2nd and short. We approach 8 minutes to go here in the game. Maine South looking to go to 3-1 on the season, while Conant may be falling to 2-2 should this result stand. Conference play beginning next week. Mid-Suburban League action for Conant, Central Suburban League action for Maine South. As Smith on the carry is immediately met in the backfield as sophomore playing on the defensive side, Malik Frederick, got the tackle.
In the ebb and flow of power in high school football, this year it looks like the Central Suburban South is probably headed for a pretty good record against the Mid-Suburban West, whereas 2 years ago it was lopsided in favor of the Mid-Suburban West. I think it was something like 8 wins out of 10 possible.
3rd down and 3. It was a loss of a yard on that run as Cole Dow looks over the middle. Pass is caught inside the 5 as that's Jimmy Bartell for a 1st and goal for Maine South. Is actually, let me correct myself, Josh Sizer made the catch. 1st and goal for Maine South nevertheless. And that's Sizer's 1st catch of the night. Seen some of the
1st and goal, Maine South.
Some more of the 2nd stringers get some playing time here in the 4th quarter. We have under 7 minutes to play. 1st and goal at the 2. 3 out to the right, 1 to left. Shotgun formation for Cole Dow. And at his left hip is Nathan Smith. 10 on the play clock as the handoff will go to Smith, and he's going to run it up the middle, and he is in for yet another Maine South touchdown. As the Hawks continue to pile it on here at Conant High School.
Very impressive performance by Maine South here tonight. Conant coming into this game at 2-1, and really had played well in all their games. A few too many turnovers against Evanston, but
with the exception of the quarterback here, John, and I'll make the point of this after this extra point, just to kind of show you how the Hawks offense is spread out as the extra point is up and good to make it 42-7. 6 different contributors, with the exception of the quarterback, have all had touchdowns here tonight. Ryan Kilberg, Jimmy Bartell, and as we mentioned, but I'm kind of excluding this, Cole Dow, Daniel Wolf, Nathan Smith, and Daniel Lasik have all had touchdowns for Maine South here tonight.
Yeah, it's not a one-man team by any. It's a very diversified offense that they have, running and passing, and their defense has played well. They clearly look like a team that can make a deep run into the state playoffs this year.
And that's kind of a broken record. It's the way Maine South has played over the better part of 2 decades.
Yeah, they had a little drop off there from about 2012 to 13-14 in through there. Oh, it was a little drop off. They
still made the playoffs.
They still made the playoffs, and they still went, still
got into quarterfinal action. So it wasn't like
they still made the playoffs, one or 2 games, but for them that was a drop off. For a lot of teams, that'd be as good as they can do in a decade, So
or in school history.
It's quite a program. Yeah, Hoffman Estates made it to the semifinals for the first time ever last year. St. Viator has never made it beyond the second round in 44 years of state playoff competition.
Just kind of tells you how, if you're a Maine South fan, how spoiled and how you've been treated to football in the Park Ridge area, as the return there from
Jesse Mayrick with the return.
Mayrick gets stopped right ahead of the 15-yard line. And even talking to some Maine South folks before the game and just kind of mentioning to them about the great runs that they've had over the last 20 years, essentially, that they lose in the semifinals to Lincoln Ways. That's a disappointing season. And as you mentioned, with Hoffman Estates getting to the semifinals last year, never getting that far before, they called an incredible year that they had. So it's quite the 180 on the reversal of how you look at things with different schools.
For Hoffman Estates, that was getting to the semis was the best they've ever done.
And as the handoff up the middle goes for a gain of a few. So under 6:30 to play, 42-7 Maine South. Maine South was to get another touchdown here in the 4th quarter and held Conant to not score. That's when the running clock will become effective. But with this much time left in the contest, I don't think it will really matter.
At this point, it's not a big factor any longer whether you have a running clock or not when you get down to the last few minutes.
And the handoff as the man in motion was Joey Perez. Runs it for a few more, and it's 3rd down. Don't want to think that we're behind the scenes and running the camera, Bruce Anderson. Here for HETV Game of the Week. 42-7 Maine South here on week 4 of IHSA
3rd and 4.
Football season is, when we get into the midweek next week, we're already 50% of the way done with this season, in the regular season, that is.
Yeah,
it's crazy to think about it. Right? I remember our opening kickoff at Lake Zurich.
Yeah, it's moving along very rapidly.
As Frederick, the sophomore, gets the carry, and he gains maybe a yard.
And every year brings up some fresh copy. Remember talking with some friends about the upcoming season, and everybody's really just talking about an extension of what happened last year. But there's certain teams that are up this year that were not, and it varies. And right now, it looks like Palatine and Fremd are off a little bit from what they've been in recent years, and that might open it up for Hoffman Estates is playing very well. I haven't seen a score on them tonight, but they've been winning impressively, and this might be a year where, well, they've got Barrington playing well, at least up until tonight. They seem to be having difficulty with Evanston, but could get down to Hoffman and Barrington for the title here in the Mid-Suburban West.
And kind of in the Mid-Suburban League as a whole, you know, coming into the season, it was rather wide open, and now we're starting to see the effects of who's the better and who isn't as the pass is made there for the first down and some more.
On the other side of the league, over in the Eastern Division, Hershey and Rolling Meadows are playing extremely good football. And they look like they could, either one of them, maybe especially Rolling Meadows, looks like it could make a long run into the playoffs.
So first down and 10 now on the 37, under 4:30 to go. One receiver out to the right. Frederick in motion. Pulaski drops back. He's going to scramble to his right. He's still looking his eyes downfield, and he's going to heave it downfield. It's a jump ball, and it's going to be caught. Wacho wins the jump ball as timing his jump a hair early there for Maine South was Josh Sizer.
Something for the Conant fans to cheer about here. That's got to be their longest pass play of the year, I would think.
I would imagine so. At least completed, rather. As we mentioned, this team has run the football, and then run it some more.
Yeah, only 8 passes coming into the night, and it must be 15, 16, 17 passes tonight at least.
4 minutes to go on first down as the carry by Perez to the left side gets to the 20.
Joey Perez on the carry, taken down by Mike Pagliaro.
Mike Pagliaro on the tackle for the Hawks.
Will Halter on the assist. Gain of 5, 2nd and 5.
5-yard run from Perez as we approach 3.5 to play here in the fourth. Okay, make sure you stick around and check out our programming coverage for future IHSA football games we'll have for you in the coming weeks. As Pulaski's going to throw to the right side down the field, but it's overthrown and incomplete as the pass there was intended for David McLaughlin.
For Anthony Wackel, incomplete.
So that'll bring up third down for the Cougars. This is the first time we've seen an offensive drive here since way back in that first quarter, John, that we've seen this Cougars offense kind of get into a nice rhythm and move the ball downfield.
Yeah, it's been a long gap.
Down in 5, Frederick in motion. He gets the ball. He goes to the right side, and the sophomore trying to...
This pursuit of this Maine South defense has been impressive all night long.
As the sophomore Frederick gets the first down.
And good enough for a Cougar.
We mentioned that last, good offensive drive we saw from Conant. That was way back in the first quarter on the second offensive drive that the sophomore Malik Frederick had that big 72-yard run down the field, which eventually led to the Anthony Watchell 10-yard touchdown catch. That was thrown as a bullet from Kevin Pulaski in tight coverage. We have under 3 minutes to play. 1st and 10 on the 13. And the carry and spinning his way forward was number 29 and Devon
Holmes on the carry, stopped on the play by
he had a gain of about 6. As we wind the clock in the final minutes down here at Conant High School.
I think what's happened here, Conant is to some degree just executing their offense, their basic stuff, and getting some practice in a game that's obviously out of reach.
As the handoff to Joey Perez, and he gets towards the end zone, and he is in for a Cougar touchdown.
Touchdown.
Across the goal line for a Cougar touchdown.
That gives the Conant fans something to celebrate there. As Joey Perez takes it in for 8 yards.
Student section is whooping it up over here for Conant, so.
They really haven't had much to cheer about, unfortunately, for them tonight. Extra point coming up. 42-13 our score with 2:17 to play in the fourth.
Jessica Smeltzer with the extra point attempt.
Jessica Smeltzer will have this extra point attempt. And it looks like they only had 10 players out on the field. Now they got 11. As the one running in at the last minute there was Zach Vallis. Snap the hold and the kick and hold everything. looks like they'll redo it. I don't know if the officials were even set. The flags were thrown. Looks like now we'll get set for the extra point. Here's the snap and the hold and the kick. It is up, and it is good. Make it now a 42-14 score.
Well, it sort of ensures that there won't be a running clock, if that's any consolation. But plus the fact that Conant did put a drive together there, and they had a nice long pass play, which shows that they've got that capability when needed. And they did drive down. They did put a touchdown on the board. And this is a team that's progressing and is an upward trend. And tonight's been a rough night, but there are nights where you run into a team that's playing really well, and it's just hard to keep up with them.
2:17 on the clock. I have to imagine the Hawks are just probably going to just run out the clock here with that much time left. They have
At this point,
timeouts.
I think we'll see some reserves out there and a little running. You know. This is the easy part of the game for a color, man. You know just about what they're going to do. It's 42-14 and 2:17. I think they'll probably just take it easy, and they'll probably just run a few plays and then start to take a knee.
And that's when, for the play-by-play guy, that's when you really got to look at your roster sheet and look at the depth of the numbers and the names on there.
This is a good time to get a few extra players in, get them a little game experience, reward them for coming out for practice all the time.
Malik Frederick to kick this one end to end. Lazick and Smith are back deep for Maine South. They'll go to Evanston next week to begin CSL conference play. For Conant, they'll be taking on Barrington next week, as this low squib kick attempt going to be picked up by the Hawks just ahead of their own 30. As the ball will be officially spotted at the 36. Took a couple seconds off the clock. And here comes what could be perhaps the final drive of the game. As Cole Dow has stayed out, and in now at quarterback for Maine South is Sean Hayes.
What's his number?
Number 12 for Maine South. Sean Hayes is going to get the snaps now. Hayes, the sophomore. Going to get some reps in here in the final minutes. And he's going to keep it himself. And he's going to lunge forward past the 40 for a decent run. We approach now 2 minutes to go.
With the keeper.
So good to see.
Malik Frederick on the stop.
We mentioned
2nd and 6 for Maine
Johnny, you
South.
said that you see more of the reserves here in the final minutes, and that's what we're seeing now. So the sophomore Hayes is going to hand this one off as he gives that one there to number 20 in Charlie Grief, a fellow sophomore as well, as he's met at the line of scrimmage to bring up 3rd down.
Younger players getting some game experience.
Joe Perez on the tackle.
Developing a little poise.
Brings up 3rd and 6.
With fans in the stands and the lights on Friday night.
Sean Hayes now at quarterback for Maine South.
So Maine South will go to 3-1 on the season. And a schedule that, 3-1, that is not bad, all things considered, as Hayes on the keeper is going to get past the 45 and into Cougar territory for a Maine South 1st down.
Hayes with the keeper again.
As the season rolls on, your goals can change up or down, and with Conant now they've got 2 wins and 5 games to go.
With the stop on the play. First
they can somehow, if they can win 3 of those games, they can make the playoffs.
Trips to the left as this carry to the left side and breaking a big hole downfield for Maine South. And getting taken down inside the 20 is number 83, Max Ma, with his first touch.
Down to 45 seconds left here.
That's maybe what you call
Conant has a lot of reserves in now, too.
This is what you kind of call the garbage time of a game in a blowout like this. But don't tell that to the sophomores that are out there right now for the Hawks. They want to get a score in before this game comes to an end. Oh, and a botch snap there from Hayes, and the ball's still loose, and the Cougars fall on top of it. So you're seeing a little bit of the inexperience there from the younger players from Maine South.
Cougars will probably try a couple of long bombs here.
Recovered on the play by...
I won't say the twilight of the game since it's a night game. There's no twilight around here, but in the closing moments of this game. Only 31 of those moments left.
As the bleachers on the away side from Maine South are emptying out. The opponent side about to do the same thing. 31 seconds on the clock, 42-14 still Maine South with the lead. Glass is going to throw to his right, and the pass is caught. And evading one tackler there. And making the catch was David McLaughlin.
Stopped on the play by Ben Triple.
Gain of about 8, brings up second down. Clock will still wind. And
gain of 8, 2nd and 2.
That looks like that may do it.
7 seconds and running, so.
Yep, I don't think Conant's going to get a play off. And they do not, or they do rather, just in the nick of time. Pass is incomplete to McLaughlin. And that is how this game comes to an end. A dominant road victory for the Maine South Hawks, who wrap up their non-conference part of the season with a victory here against the Conant Cougars by the final score of 42-14. The Hawks officially go to 3-1. Conant falls to 2-2. Cougars will play Barrington next week to begin Mid-Suburban League play. And Maine South will take on Evanston next week to begin Central Suburban League play. As the players shake hands at midfield. John, your final thoughts on our match here tonight?
Well, I think what happened here, they ran into a Maine South team that was recovering from that loss to Barrington. A very focused, very determined Maine South team to get its season back on track after that loss. And they just played very, very well. They played well enough to send a message that they're going to be a big factor in November. Conant didn't make the conspicuous mistakes, the fumbles and the missed assignments and all that you sometimes see with a team that's on the way up. But some of the subtle things, I think their running game needs to be a little more supercharged, a little better timing and such. But they're headed in the right direction, and as I said a little earlier, they've got 2 wins, 5-game schedule, and they're not going to see anybody any better really than Maine South. Barrington beat them, but by a narrow margin. Outside of that, they're going to play teams that they can compete with, and maybe they can get those 3 wins and still make the playoffs.
So once again, final score here, Maine South 42, Conant 14. I want to thank the great work of Bruce Anderson running the camera here tonight and everything behind the scenes. For John Anderson, I'm Ryan Fade. This has been Week 4 of IHSA football action on our HETV Game of the Week. So long, everybody. We'll see you next time.